They really hate each other now, and they cannot hide it anymore.
Meghan is livid. Harry has met someone who is his age, with whom he is in love, and who is in love with him.
Harry was not in love with Meghan Markle.
So, the rumor making the rounds this week is that Harry may have found himself another woman. Secret messages, an angry wife, and a lot. But the real twist is not the rumor itself. It's that anyone who has been watching these two over the last year can't say they're surprised. A lot of people online have been noticing the same thing for months. This marriage has been unraveling right in front of everyone. She posts videos of herself relaxing in Paris, just minutes from the place where his mother died. She travels alone to Geneva, then to Chicago, and he keeps returning to London without her.
I knew Meghan for a bit before she met Harry, did exactly the same to me.
Over and over, it has looked the same. Separate businesses, separate social media, separate routines, separate lives. Now people are talking about another woman, and the online response is basically the same everywhere. Everyone saw this coming. So tonight, put the mystery blonde aside for a moment. Let's go through the year that made it clear this was over long before any messages came out. The woman Harry once loved and left behind. The video that revealed just how little was left between them. The month they even took separate vacations. The people who called his wife a narcissist right in front of him. And why the man who once walked away from a kingdom for her now seems to regret it every single day. Stay with me, there's plenty to back it up.
The girl, woman, girlfriend, friend, however you want to put it, and I'm putting it like this for legal reasons, resides, and I'm not going to say if it's actually in Montecito or near Montecito, but it's in the environs. People have seen them together.
Let's go back to the beginning. Before Meghan, there was Chelsy Davy, the one woman Harry truly seemed happy with. She was from Zimbabwe, blonde, easygoing, and completely uninterested in royal life or its rules. Their relationship went on and off for nearly 7 years. And this is the part that matters now. Harry has said it himself in court, twice. When he took the stand against the newspapers, he did not begin with rules or big ideals. He began with her. He said the press destroyed the one relationship that truly made him happy. He described how bad it became. Constant fear, the sense that he was always being watched, and the feeling that he could not trust anyone around him. At one point, a tracking device was even found on her car. Even their private fights ended up in the papers. When they finally broke up, one smug headline treated it like something to celebrate. Harry also said that same toxic pressure damaged his friendships, leaving him doubtful of almost everyone around him. This year, back in court again over the Daily Mail, Harry described what happened to that relationship as a nightmare. That was his word. In his book, he opened up even more, admitting he could not bring himself to pull Chelsy into that life. He feared the press would chase her relentlessly. He also made it clear that, if it had really been up to him, he would not have chosen that life for himself either. Think about that for a second. He has publicly said he would have stepped away from the whole royal system if he had been given the chance. And he believes that same system cost him the woman he loved, and she was not the only one.
So he started having affairs with all sorts of other girls, and she got very upset, and he didn't go and see her for a long time, so she went off and left him. Now that's his fault, 100% his fault.
As for the next chapter, the pattern stayed the same. Cressida Bonus, the girlfriend who came after Chelsy, also walked away for the same reason. She saw the pressure of royal life and wanted out. Both women cared about Harry, and both decided that world was not for them. What many people forget is that Chelsy did not leave bitter. In 2018, she was there in the chapel, smiling with everyone else as Harry married Meghan. The woman who once made him happiest, sat there watching him choose the very life he had once seemed unwilling to put her through. And that is the bitter part of it all. He married the woman who would later seem to bring him misery, while the woman who once brought him real joy applauded from the pews. If this were written into a soap opera, people would say it was far too obvious. But look where Harry ended up. He did not escape the circus at all. He married the person many would call the ringmaster and moved the whole show to California. Chelsy wanted nothing to do with cameras. Meghan arrived with a Netflix crew in tow. If you tried all night to come up with a harsher twist, you probably could not beat that one.
How many tears left I? How many? I think we better get a bottle of champagne to sort of get everybody calm.
Now here's the moment that made a lot of people say what they had been thinking all along. Last autumn, during Paris Fashion Week, Meghan was in Paris for the Balenciaga show and posted a short clip on Instagram. It was night. She was in the back of a car. City lights moving past the windows. She was leaning back with her heels up on the seat, filming her shoes as she rode through central Paris. Here's why that clip caused such a strong reaction. She was riding along the river at night, less than a mile from the tunnel where Harry's mother died while being chased by photographers. For many people, that made the post feel deeply insensitive. Diana lost her life in Paris, and yet her daughter-in-law chose that same area for a polished little video. Feet up in the car, filming what looked like a casual shoe promo. You really could not invent it. Afterwards, her team said she did not realize how close she was to that location. Take that however you want. Either she truly did not know where she was in the one city forever tied to her husband's mother's death, or she did know and posted it anyway. Neither explanation helps. Even many people who usually defend her said this was a seriously bad mistake.
Well, how about having some thought towards your husband's feelings when you're in the same city his mom died in, running around, having a joyride in Paris near where she lost her life?
One royal commentator openly admitted he was completely baffled and said he could not understand what she was thinking. And it is worth noting the context: she was not in Paris for anything serious or reflective. She was there for Fashion Week, sitting front row at major shows and fully embracing the influencer spotlight. Just a carefree trip, and out of every road in Paris, she chose that stretch by the river to lean back, put her feet up, and start filming. To many people, it felt unbelievably tone-deaf. What makes it hit even harder is this. Only a few years ago, Harry told the world that a paparazzi chase through New York left him badly shaken. He said it himself. He feared history was repeating. His mother, a car, cameras in a night. That fear was clearly still very real for him. And yet there was his wife, sitting in a car in Paris with her heels up, filming content for social media. You do not need a statement from Montecito to guess that did not go over well at home. If you want to know whether a marriage is really in trouble, do not focus on the public statements. Look at the schedule. And this year, their schedules have looked like two separate lives with very little overlap. Just look at 1 month alone. This May, Meghan went to Geneva by herself for a major speech, soaking up the attention and applause with no Harry anywhere nearby. Just days earlier, she had also traveled alone to Chicago. No Harry, no kids, just Meghan handling her own schedule across the country. And it was not a one-time thing. She has built a whole run of solo appearances, from a museum gala on her own to a children's hospital event where, once again, she showed up solo in a dress she had worn years before. Then came a charity dinner, a red carpet event, and a tribute night for her friend Tyler Perry, and each time, the seat next to her stayed empty. She seems to have a busier social life than many people half her age, and she is doing all of it alone. One tabloid even claimed Harry had not been seen by her side for more than 40 days.
She tries to direct and show people what to do because she's a controller. And that's what we see in her body language. That is her showing control because she is control obsessed.
Take the tabloid drama with a grain of salt, but the pattern is hard to miss. There is even talk that she suggested renewing their vows to smooth things over, which says a lot because people usually reach for that when the original promises no longer seem strong enough. And it goes both ways. Harry keeps returning to Britain without her again this month, just like the time before and the time before that. Even when he's overseas, he won't stay at royal residences. His wife never goes with him, and the official reason given is security. Fine, take that at face value if you want. But it's worth noticing how convenient that excuse turns out to be. The very thing that supposedly keeps this devoted husband apart from his family is the same thing that lets him fly across the ocean and leave them behind whenever he feels like it. And here's the real twist. He's said publicly more than once that he wants to bring Meghan and the kids over for a visit. He wants to. Somehow, he just never does. Here's a grown man talking openly about the fact that his family isn't with him, hoping nobody looks too closely at the gap between what he says and what he actually does when he boards that plane. And none of this started with another woman. 2 years ago, the two of them quietly split their shared life right down the middle. separate Instagram accounts, her Netflix project, and her jam business on one side, his Invictus games and his polo on the other. Everyone was polite about it and called it a professional separation. Very mature, very friendly. But people don't treat the person they're still truly in love with like a business partner being split off in a merger. The separation didn't begin with a love affair. It began with a dividing of assets.
We're gonna have this whiny little wanker back in the United Kingdom, back demanding security paid for by us. No, honestly, part of me thinks the best possible punishment for the Duke of Delusion, after accusing the British royal family of being racist, after making the late Queen Elizabeth II's dying days a misery, after putting Prince Philip through God knows what on his deathbed.
All right, let me say what polite people won't. These days, a lot of serious commentators are painting a picture of a man who got completely consumed by his marriage. One of the biggest names on American television went on air and called Meghan a malignant narcissist. Those exact words, out loud, on the record. And she's far from the only one saying things like that. Harry's own biographers have described Meghan as the most bitter, unforgiving person they've ever encountered. Even his uncle, according to several accounts, wrote her off as little more than an opportunist. Others have gone even further, speaking about her as if she quietly changed the man from the inside. And underneath all of it, the verdict is the same. Harry didn't marry a partner, he hired a boss. Look how small this man has become in the public eye. This is a grown royal who had to stand up and publicly reject a story that his own wife talks over him during his own meetings. Sit with that for a second. Nobody rushes to deny something like that unless it's already what the whole world quietly believes about you. And then there's the homesickness he clearly can't hide anymore. Last year, he sat down and wrote openly for anyone to read that Britain will always be the country he proudly served. Royal followers who can't stand the man read that single line, and every last one of them arrived at the same place. That's someone aching for home, carrying a heavy load of regret. One of them has openly said that Harry is completely alone and lonely out in California. A few others close to him think he just sits by his phone all day, hoping his brother might finally ring and tell him to come home. Friends who have known him since he was a kid now say he barely feels like the same person anymore. The fun, warm, playful Harry everyone grew up watching has slowly worn away, replaced now by someone edgy and guarded. The kind of person who has to work out who's in the room before he dares open his mouth.
You know, Harry and Meghan both feel that America is kind of cooling on them and that it's difficult. And they want to be liked in the UK now. And that's where they're focusing, you know, a kind of a charm offensive. And I think, and bizarre as it was, as you said, there's a kind of sense of whiplash.
People who've known him for the last 30 years say the spark in him has completely faded. Whatever anyone thinks about his marriage, the truth is clear. Something inside that man has just shut down. And when a man checks out like that, he's already halfway out the door. This is a prince who gave up his family, left his country behind, and walked away from the only woman he truly loved. All for someone most of the world now believes has taken over his schedule and his voice. If that's the happy ending, it's one the rest of us can do without. Which finally brings us back to this week's big whisper. And now the story behind it makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? The talk going around through the usual grapevine is that Meghan went through Harry's phone and came across messages from another woman close to his age, and that she's the reason he's suddenly looking so much brighter about the idea of heading back home. The internet has even picked out a name already, some media executive, all because of one photo snapped at a party. There is zero evidence behind that name, and I'm not going to pin a label like that on a stranger, so I'll leave her out of it entirely. But the rumor at its core, the simple idea that Harry's attention has wandered somewhere more inviting, isn't a hard one for anyone to swallow. After everything I've just laid out for you, here's the kicker that really shows you how far the fairy tale has tumbled. You'd think a headline about Harry and some secret woman would have the internet going wild with excitement. Instead, the reaction was the complete opposite. The single most liked comment under the whole story was from a woman asking who on earth would even want Harry in the first place. Not even Meghan, she figured. That comment pulled in thousands of likes. Another one, with thousands more likes piled on top, swore up and down that even if he were the last man alive, she wouldn't walk across the street for him. And then there's an entirely different crowd out there laughing their heads off, saying it's the most perfect bit of karma they've ever seen. Especially given this is the same woman who once stepped up from her first husband to land herself a prince. Funny how quickly the tables flip. Suddenly, she's the one wearing the other shoe. The internet has been waiting nearly 9 whole years for this exact moment, the day the spotlight finally swung back around on the two of them, and they're making the most of every second of it. Whispers of the romance of the century and the public's verdict on the man possibly having an affair is to double over laughing and wonder what on earth the other woman could possibly be thinking about. Honestly, good grief. That alone tells you exactly how much the shine has worn off of him.
I think that's most likely the neatest, cleanest, and most cost-effective way, let's put it that way, of resolving a problem.
So here is where the whole story finally settles. For years now, the version we were all sold ran in one clear direction. Meghan calling the shots, Harry a step or two behind, lugging the bags, grateful just to be let into the room. This week, for the first time, that picture flipped right on its head. Now he's the one carrying the secret. He's the one everyone's whispering about. He's the one homesick and weighed down with regret, flying back to a country he swore he'd never live in again, while she builds a life 3,000 miles away with less and less space in it for him. At this stage, whether there's actually another woman in the picture or not barely makes a difference. You don't even need a name to see the full picture here. This is a man who lost the woman he truly loved to this whole circus to begin with. Then he gave up every last scrap he had left for the person who went ahead and built him a far bigger one of her own. And now he can't help glancing back over his shoulder at the life he turned his back on. That is not a marriage hitting a rough patch. That is a man doing the sums a full 10 years too late, right down to the very last thing he signed away. He didn't have his old life snatched away from him in some accident. He handed it over himself, big smile on his face, Netflix contract in his back pocket, and only sat down to count what it really cost him years after the ink had dried. They will deny all of it, of course. They always do. Right up until the morning they stop. But the grins stopped lining up with the fairy tale a long, long time ago. And once the cameras quit asking whether you're still in love and start asking who else he might be seeing, the game is already up. Someone just has to be brave enough to come out and say it. So where do you stand on all of this? Is Harry the victim here? A man who lost his way? Or did he get exactly what he asked for in the first place? Honestly, I could go either way myself. Drop your verdict down in the comments and settle it for me, because I read every single one. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button as you go past, it genuinely helps this channel land in front of more people who care about these stories. Make sure you subscribe on your way out too. There's a lot more coming this week, and this story is nowhere near wrapped up. The second one of them slips up or the next solo trip quietly gets booked, we'll be right back here to pick it apart. Keep your eyes fixed on Montecito. Someone over there is about to flinch.